What's up, y'all? And welcome back to Dad Needs to Talk. I am your host, Robert, aka Father of Ash, and today we're back talking about the awesome ranking of kings and seeing what perils our boy Bojji is going through for the week. So, as always, if you're not already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And also make sure you go follow the podcast as well, where I talk about anime, manga, video games, fatherhood, and all that fun stuff. So, yeah. So, we're back with episode 7 of Ranking of Kings, which was titled, I believe it was The Prince's Apprenticeship. And this whole episode, man, it had me laughing, had me worried in some parts, but all around, as has been with the previous 6 episodes, just another great episode of Ranking of Kings. So I'm start with the short part up front or whatever with the Prince Dida stuff. So pretty much we begin and end the episode following up with the mirror lady. I can't remember her name, but her forcing this elixir down Dida's throat basically while he's passed out. And so she pretty much reveals what I think a lot of us suspected, that this elixir is actually for resurrection, because she is trying, for whatever happened to her body, don't know, or why she was sealed in the mirror, whatever. But anywho, this elixir was her way of basically coming back into some form of a human body. And so with that being said, we kind of like I said, that happened. And then at the end of the episode, we see her in Dida's body ascending the throne and then going to sit down. And so, yeah. So, and she said like a very interesting line along the ways of like, I have sacrificed another son, or something like that. Let me see if I can find what exactly it said. I believe it was something along those lines of, I've sacrificed yet another son. Yeah, I have sacrificed another son. Don't know what that means. Is is Bojji and Dida not the only kids that King Bojji had, or what exactly is going on? Because that is very shady text to read, but and I'm curious to know if, like, is there any chance that Dida will ever regain control of his body, or is she gonna be in control of his body and like Dida is essentially dead in a sense? But that was interesting, like I said, like bookmark for the episode to start and to end with the Prince Dida stuff. Now everything else in between, we are dealing with Bojji and Kage as they get introduced to, I believe this was Despa. Yeah, I think this brother was Despa. Let me check. Yeah, Despa. So, that's how episode. It just had me rolling. But up front though, when he kind of was evaluating Bojji, of course after he took his lofty payment, because he was like, hey, I don't work for free, man. And so Kage pulling through and gave him all the money he had, most of which he stole from Bojji's castle during his time there. But when Despa was kind of like basically like evaluating Bojji, he discovered, he was like, basically he's like, there is nothing for me to strengthen, because like, and I'm guessing this goes back to the curse that the other brother mentioned an episode or two ago about Bojji and Kage, also, but mainly Bojji being cursed, because we had hints, and we pretty much got official confirmation, if you didn't already know, that yes, that Bojji is a descendant of giants, if you couldn't tell from his giant's mother and father. But with that being said, he is like you know, I'm able to kind of help train people who have something to begin with, to get stronger. He's like, for you though, as much as you train, you'll never get stronger, which that's something we'll touch on in a second from something that they really tease later on in the episode. But yeah, it is like what exactly is going on? Um, but yeah, and of course Bojji, he is very saddened by this news, but Despa is like, hey, you paid me, so I am honor bound to still do my best to train you as best as I can. And so what ends up happening is that he takes Bojji to this armament room that had just like all these weapons and all pretty much like he said pretty much any type of weapon you can think of should be in here. And he's like, Despa's like, I've already decided or already know what weapon best suits you, but I still want you to take some time and evaluate all the weapons you see for what fits you. And so Bojji kind of went around, he looked at various swords and axes and all this stuff. And I loved how, and some of the imagery of them, like when he looked at like that first big sword, he kind of had flashbacks to, when he was struggling to pick up the sword and people was laughing at him and stuff, to other moments and stuff. And so I just really liked how they kind of like used that to like visualize what Bojji is, thinking of or what he's reflecting on as he's looking and trying to figure out what weapon best works for him. And so he picks one that is like super up high. We don't get to see what it is, but Despa is like, that is the one. Perfect. And so thus we begin this freaking awesome training montage, and I just love the music. The do 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 do. It is so cheerful as he is training as well as they're cleaning up as well, because Despa is also like, hey, y'all gonna live here, y'all also gonna have to help clean, cook, all that stuff. And so it seems like for the most part, Kage handles a majority of the cleaning and for sure the cooking, which we'll touch on in a second. We're going to touch on now because Bojji was feeling inspired. He woke up one morning while everybody else was still asleep, and Bojji is like, hey, I'm going to take care of stuff myself. Bojji tries to fill up a big bucket of water. Obviously, it's too heavy, so he dumps that majority of it, has like a small puddle of water, but he gets into the house and he starts cleaning. And then a little bit later on in the episode, Bojji decides he is going to surprise everybody and cook breakfast for them. And it is just so funny because he has all these ingredients and you're like, oh, okay, Bojji, he has some eggs, some carrots, so some potatoes and onions and stuff, whatever. So you're like, oh, okay, Chef Bojji about to go in. And you see he sees the giant pot or whatever, and then he picks up a egg, and you think he's about to crack it and split it open, and nope, he just puts the whole egg and the whole carrot, whole onion, whole potato, whole tomato, everything into the pot. But he does do this sick fire kick to where he pulls like a piece of a log out of the fireplace, and then he kicks it over to where the pot is. And so we see him taste testing the food, and at first you're like, oh, because he's like, ooh, this is good. And so you're like, oh, there's hope. But then as the camera zooms out, you see that there's a purple looking elixir in the pot, and the aroma spreads to the house and wakes up Kage and Despa. And so they come in to eat, and Bojji pours them this big bowl of whole potatoes and eggs and carrots and stuff with this purple goop. And they're like, man, this does not look safe to eat. But they see Bojji eating first. Bojji eats, and he's like, And they're like, oh, well, hey, it doesn't look bad, but hey, don't judge a book by its cover, so maybe let's eat. As soon as they eat it, they immediately puke, and they set out on a mission of like Bojji must be stopped. We must not let this man cook no more. And it is so hilarious to see their faces that they made when they're like, just like how bad it was. And then, but this is when the food was so bad that Despa started seeing things, or we kind of like, I love the transition to where we see him reading some history books about giants and things of that nature. And one of the things about giants is that basically they just like consume food, and basically their bodies are built in a way to where it kind of like nullifies poisons, everything or whatever, which is why Bojji thought the food tasted great. And so, so him and Kage kind of have a moment where they're like, hey, we cannot let Bojji cook no more. But I just love that whole little montage of, him cooking, him working with Kage and them cleaning and stuff, to every day Bojji would go into the weapons chamber and would train with Despa all day. And then Kage would just be waiting there every day at the end of the day with the little carts that as soon as Bojji walks out, he would just fall upon, and he would take him to the room, put him in bed, and he'd pass out. But we have a moment later in the episode, like they've been training for days, maybe even weeks or whatever, probably weeks, I'm guessing. And while Kage is cleaning, there's like a giant, like the house shakes and rattles. And so of course, the house shakes and rattles. Kage comes to see what's going on. And so Kage goes bang on the door, hey, what's going on? Despa was in there, like, what do you want? And he's like, I heard like a shaking, like an explosion or something or whatever. And Despa was like, no, everything's good, man. Hey, we just training. And so before the door closes, Kage is able to like look a little bit past Despa, and in the background we see this. Yes, and so in the background, Kage gets a peek at this magnificent scene of Bojji standing facing this boulder that has been split in half. And so kind of reminds me of the beginning of Demon Slayer when Tanjiro pretty much had to split this giant boulder. But yeah, and then like the door closed. But yeah, but Kage was like, what's going on back there? But it was just super dope. Just like them teasing us of like, okay, what kind of training has Despa been doing with Bojji, and what weapon does Bojji have? Honestly, it would be really dope if he has another just like stick sword or something like what he's been using and training with most of the series so far. That would be like super dope if that's what his weapon of choice was. But I am very excited to just see and find out like what the heck is going on. Like Bojji out here like training and stuff, because we even had like a brief moment of seeing him with like a bunch of crows and stuff flying, and he is just practicing, just dodging. Maybe not crows, but just some random weird looking birds or whatever. But he's just ducking and dodging and bobbing and weaving. But yeah, man, it was just so good, as it has been. But I think that's going to wrap up my thoughts for this week. Like I said, just another really dope episode of Ranking of Kings. Y'all let me know, down in the comments below, like what y'all thought of the episode. And make sure, if you're not already, make sure you're subscribed to the channel as well as the podcast on all streaming services. And yeah, I'll catch y'all in the next episode. And y'all have an awesome week. Can't wait to see what shenanigans Bojji gets up to next week. Y'all be easy.